This episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And, it's 2010 just came a couple weeks ago, and it's time to plan your trips for 2010 for the rest of the year. Perhaps you're looking at Star Wars weekends. That's right, the dates have been announced. Or maybe you're looking for Tent Event coming up in March. Or maybe you're saying to yourself, food and wine is always something I've wanted to check out. Or, man, I can't get enough food and wine. Or let me know when Len Testa will be down there. And then I can just go on whatever trip that may be. Regardless of what your goals might be, MEI and Mouse Fan Travel can help you plan that trip. Check them out online at www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, January 13th, 2010, and this is episode 668 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hotchberg of StudioCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Len Testa, co-author of the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. And Len, you'd be surprised how hot that Len Testa trip option is for MEI and Mouse Fan Travel.
Yeah, I understand that they've added it to the website. And Matt, remind me on this show, by the way, to actually give out that secret that we promised to about some of All Thrills. In fact, maybe we'll do that first. Right?
We'll do that first, before the first email, I promise.
Okay, cool.
Also joining us on today's show is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. And Mike,
yes,
I mentioned it's 2010 already, so you know what that means. Tent Event is coming up very soon, my friend.
I've got it marked on my calendar already.
Nice.
I can't wait.
Also joining us on today's show is Mike Scopa, a senior feature writer and blogger for alleears.net. Welcome to the show, Mike.
I'll throw in a dash of childish
delight. Imagine it. It was awesome. Nice. Actually, I would have gotten it. I'll throw in a dash. I would have gotten it after that.
If you listen to the original one, he's creating Figment, and he's like, Dreamfinder, I'm just great. And he goes, and then you hear him go, huh? And he hits him with he must have been like a sentient, maybe Einstein of his species. And then he hits him with the stupid pills, and he becomes this woo kind of guy. But anyway,
the late great Billy Barr.
Kind of a guy.
That's right. That's a very descriptive term for him.
Awesome.
Also joining us on today's show is Annette Owens, the manager of customer relations and group services for MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. Welcome, Annette.
Hey, I can't wait to post Len's travel schedule up there, and everybody can try and throw a dart and catch him.
That's right. It's the best dining plan there is.
Do it for everyone.
We need that isolated Newell.
Yeah, and I'm sure none of them are going to try to put up a tent in the dark.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Yeah,
it's Wednesday, but before we answer your listener questions, we mentioned last week Len would share a tip, and we forgot about it. So, Len, please share with our listeners your tip for scoring the highest at the Sum of All Thrills.
So, Sum of All Thrills is the new roller coaster simulator at Innoventions West in Epcot. The highest score you can get on the attraction is 1,278 points. And here's how to do it. You'll be asked to choose 4 track elements for your ride. Before you do that, you have 3 options for your kind of track. One is a bobsled, one is a roller coaster, one is a jet. And that's in order of mildest to wildest. Always pick the wildest thing, so pick the jet to get the top score. Then in each of the 4 sections that you pick, they'll give you track options, again, from mildest to wildest. Pick the wildest the first time, the wildest the second time, the top hat, which is next most wild on the third one, and then the wildest in the fourth one. So it's wildest, wildest, top hat, wildest. Here's one more tip, though. On your first wildest part of the coaster, everyone goes up, everyone makes the track really, really high and really, really fast.
Uh-huh.
The key is to make it low, and you get to go faster. So make it as low as possible and go as fast as you can into the other 3 sections. That's the key.
Interesting.
Yes, yes, give it a try. 1,278 points.
I love that. Have you tried that yet, Len?
Yeah, I actually got 1,278.
Oh, fair enough.
So
It's pretty cool, isn't it? How they
Yeah.
did everything?
Hannah won it 5 times. I mean, it's Hannah's favorite attraction now, I think, in Epcot, if not in all of Walt Disney World.
Yeah,
How does it
it's-
compare to Cyberspace Mountain?
Oh, not even close.
Yeah.
I mean, you could actually go upside down in this ride.
It's like comparing the Snake game on your old Nokia phones to what the iPhone can do in terms of gaming. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just night and day difference.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's really a lot of fun. Now, what I would love to see them do is actually do a roller coaster based on the robotic arm and actually put the robot arm on a roller coaster itself.
That would be interesting.
That would be awesome.
Well, it's Wednesday still, and we're going to get back to answering your listener questions. Thank you for the information, Len. Very helpful.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
We'll start out with an email from Katie and Ed in North Carolina, who writes, my favorite podcast crew and BFF. If Ed and I do this volunteer day with Disney and receive a one-day ticket each, can we use those tickets and our DVC discount towards our annual pass renewal this coming April? Thanks for the help.
That's a great question.
Now, before we answer this question, Newell, there is a little PS over here, and I think you'll find it interesting. She writes, Matt, if you don't read this email on the next show, I won't bring the s'more supplies for Tent Fest.
Oh, Katie.
Ooh.
You just
So now we
made-
know how
yeah.
to get to the top of the list. Now.
That's right.
Bribery.
Alcohol and food. Oh, wow.
S'mores.
Well, the good news is the tickets. I actually did some research on this. Talked to a cast member who works in ticketing, and she mentioned that the ticket that you get for the volunteer program that they have, Give a Day, Get a Day, it's the same. It's a full ticket. There's no restrictions on it. It's like as if you bought a 1-day ticket and you can use it towards your annual pass renewal thing. So I don't see why you wouldn't be able to, unless is there any restrictions on using if you get the DVC discount on annual passes in terms of using tickets towards the value of it? Silence means no one knows.
I don't
No. I don't want to say something that I'm
Yeah,
not
Newell,
sure.
did you have? I mean, I know you obviously get your DVC discount. Have you ever had a spare ticket that you've used towards your annual pass renewals?
No, never. I never had the birthday one, and I do enough volunteer work. I should get a free year,
Yeah, really.
but that's not going to
You're just not
happen.
volunteering at the right places.
No, I
Yeah, this-
am, but you can only use it. I think you can only use it for 1 day. You can't use it for multiple days. Is
Yeah.
that true? Yeah.
Right.
So I can only use the 1 day, which I already got. But I'm not sure if you can use it. I don't. I've never used one myself.
I think if you can, you can use one thing, right? Can you use two different tickets?
I thought so. I thought you can combine. Like if I was going to buy an annual pass today, and I had an old 4-day pass with 2 days left, and a 1-day pass here, you could
I didn't
apply
think
the
you could-
values. But
I think so. This is one of those things where we need to call Disney and ask.
yeah.
Well,
So-
there might be a restriction on this particular type of ticket. I mean, you may be able to do that with the 4-day,
Right.
with an extra day pass, but this specific
Right,
ticket
right.
may be restricted. I don't know.
Yeah,
so
you
we
might
should
be
have
right. Mike.
researched this one before we had this question read, but
Yeah,
yeah,
so,
we read it because we're now getting s'mores in March.
Yeah, no, I mean, the ticket itself. I'm not worried about the ticket. I'm worried about the DVC discount. Like if the DVC discount trumps all else, and you have to, that you're not eligible to do it. But I'm sure one of our listeners will be able to know, and certainly by the time this episode airs, we'll probably know the answer to it anyway.
I would almost think there's a restriction. I really do.
Okay.
It sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
Next email is from Crystal from near Seattle, Washington, who writes, just dropping a note to say that the few events I was able to attend during the reunion was a blast. I first met everyone at the Wishes viewing. I brought the Seattle keychains.
Oh yes, I have mine on my
Yes.
bag.
And I got to tell you that the Star Wars meet was the most fun I've ever had on that attraction.
Mine
and
too.
I am
No
a
way.
former cast member, so I've
Really?
been on it a lot.
That's awesome.
And Yeehaw Bob was a blast. That was my first time ever seeing his show. I hope to attend
funny.
a future reunion. Thanks all for the hard work you put into the show and other Disney projects.
Was that Crystal?
Crystal, yes.
Yeah, I remember meeting Crystal. Okay.
We got a lot of
Crystal.
a lot of messages about reunion over here. When it continues, next one's from John from Chicago. He writes, "Hey, this is John from Chicago. I was meaning to send you all an email, but got bogged down in all my Christmas holiday decorations. Anyway, I wanted to say a big thanks for organizing Reunion 09. I had a blast. It was great meeting you, Len, Mike, and Annette. Speaking of Annette, I need to send her an email because we need to get a picture of the quote winning team that Deb Wills took of us during the Kim Possible meet.
There you go.
Awesome.
Also wanted to say thanks for the shout out that you and Len gave me on Reunion 09 podcast a week ago. It was pretty cool to get mentioned on a podcast. Now that you all know who I am, I guess it makes sense to go with John from Chicago on future web chats or call-in shows. Take care, and talk to you guys later.
Awesome.
John, of course, was the guy. Well, he was the everywhere.
He was. we needed help carrying tequila. There's John.
Next email's from Joe and Kathy Carvalho of Danvers, Massachusetts.
Oh, cool.
Writes, my wife and I attended the Waffle House meet during Reunion.
Oh my
on
gosh.
Saturday.
Yes.
And I must say that you, Len, and Mike were very brave to accept plastic spray bottles half filled with clear yellow fluid from someone you met over the internet. Seems a little strange. What was that
Again.
stuff anyway?
Oh my God, we haven't mentioned that.
It's actually in my office. I'm using it as my scent now.
We never mentioned. Newell, why don't you tell them the story?
Before we go,
This is Lee that gave it to us, right?
Yes.
Len,
Yeah,
I gotta ask, did you take it on the plane?
Of course.
Oh my God, my first thought was
What could possibly go wrong?
oh
Here's
yeah.
what happened. We had the Waffle House meet, which we filled up the entire Waffle House, by the way.
I drove by it a couple weeks ago. It's hysterical. I was going to walk back in, but I think that I thought that Shar, the waitress, would leave as soon as she saw any one of us coming up.
You know she quit.
What, her third day on the job?
It was
Yeah,
her
third
third
day on the job. It was only her and like one other guy there working, and we filled the entire Waffle House with listeners, and we totally overwhelmed her.
It was SRO, yeah. So they actually had to cook. They ended up cooking the meals table by table.
Yeah, it was
awesome. Anyway,
well, Len, tell the listeners about what Lee brought us.
so Lee managed to acquire some of the concentrated scent that they used to use in the old Horizons attraction during the Orange Farm scene.
Yes.
And he brought it to us in these little aerosol misters, not aerosol, but aerator misters, little atomizers. So it's Lee, this guy that we've never met before but knows us by name, brings us these tiny spray bottles filled with this orange, oily, viscous liquid. And he's like, "Here, do you know what this is?"
While we're eating, while we're trying to eat.
Drug test? I don't know. I don't know, Lee. You tell me, you strange guy at the Waffle House. But
to me, he seemed legit because he also augmented that with a free pie coupon for Waffle
That's right.
House.
So here's the thing. So we're sitting in this Waffle House, which we've now filled up. Some random guy from the internet walks up and gives us a vial of orange liquid. I don't see what's even remotely strange about that.
No, it was funny, Len. He goes, go ahead. He goes, spray it, go ahead. Like,
but first he goes, "Do you know what it is?"
We could smell it because
And probably within 1 second of him saying, "Do you know what it is?" and it's orange, and orange in Disney World. I mean, I was like, I could tell you in 3 seconds what this is. I don't even need to smell it. That was awesome. So I can't believe I called my sister as soon as I was done with Waffle House. I'm like, "Guess what I got?" It's actually in my office right now, and it is my scent.
Nice.
In my office.
It is.
Awesome.
It is actually really cool, and I do appreciate it. It's just the way.
Yeah,
you know,
me too. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I thought about it later on, I was like, "This is a really cool gift. This is really thoughtful." I really thought
It
this was
really
neat.
is. I mean, it's special.
But
It's-
it was the way it was
funny thing is-
presented during a meal, and like, "Here, get spray it." Like, no, I don't want to spray it. I don't know what it is. I don't know who you
the
are.
funniest was looking over at Matt and Marissa, and it looked like Matt was going to spray it right over Marissa's plate.
Awesome.
The best
I
look.
like the pie. I got the free pie before I got my waffle.
Oh, so
No.
Lee also brings a free pie coupon, but he brings
Right.
one for everyone. And apparently at the Waffle House, they only had like 6 pieces of pie in the
Yeah.
entire Waffle House.
You had to be quick.
The
You had
be-
to be
the
quick or
best-
hungry, one or the other.
The best look was on Chris Eliopoulos' face when he's like, "Spray this." Chris, I thought was gonna have, I don't know what he was gonna. It was so
He's a
funny.
germaphobe, so that really.
Well, he was having problems with Waffle House to start off with.
Oh my
Who
god.
doesn't love Waffle House? I mean, yeah, there's
That would
the
be
occasional
Chris.
bout
A
with food
germaphobe
poisoning.
doesn't love Waffle House. That's who doesn't.
Because
love
they would
Waffle House.
rather not know what's going on in the kitchen.
That's classic.
And they cook right in front of you, right at the counter there.
Yeah.
So.
Next email's from Nora from Deerfield Beach, Florida, also known as Tinky Bell on WDWToday.com. Who writes, I haven't even listened to your reunion recap show yet. I'm already so envious looking at the pictures posted on Twitter. I wish I had been there, but after MouseFest was canceled, I made plans to go for Food and Wine instead. Reunion was announced too late to shuffle my plans, or maybe I was just running behind on my podcast and heard about it too late. Same difference. So here's my very important question. If there is no MouseFest again in 2010, will there be another reunion? Should I get aside the second or is the third week of December to hang out with you guys and chug some maple syrup? I just love your podcast. I love when you all go off on a tangent and it's minutes before you get back to the actual subject of the show. Not that you ever really stick to the subject very closely anyway. Keep up the good work and please announce Reunion 2010 earlier in the year, would you? Having a magical day. So Annette, can we do it a little bit better than we did last year?
Go for it.
Why don't you go for it? You do it.
You want me to do it?
Well, let's ask somebody on the MouseFest organization committee if MouseFest is going to be held.
Mike.
Hugh Scopa.
As far as anyone is concerned, MouseFest is in hiatus. That's as much as I can say right now. I can't comment any further. But if something comes up, I'm sure that you'll hear it.
Well, the good news is that Reunion 2010 is on, and we have dates planned. So here are the dates. Annette, why don't you let our listeners know what the dates will be for Reunion 2010?
Start planning now. We're going December 1st through December 6th.
Good. So book your stuff. We'll be planning some stuff out. And certainly, Tent event coming up March 5th through 7th is going to be the focal point for the next few months. But Reunion 2010 is on the books, and certainly we're looking forward to having a lot more fun in 2010 with a lot of you. It was such a great time, and obviously you can tell from those emails that a lot of you enjoyed it as well. So we're really
So feel
looking
free
forward
to come on over to the site. We've already got the rates up, and come on.
Next email's from James from Independence, Missouri, who writes, Len mentioned and Annette agreed that ticket prices might be increasing in August. Bad idea in this economy, but oh well. Greed knows no bounds. Anyway, I know that if I know I'm going to Walt Disney World sometime in 2010, can I buy my tickets today and still use them next year? I guess that way I could potentially save a few bucks by purchasing them today's at lowest prices.
Well, that would have been great if we'd read that question before 2010
Yeah. Well,
or August.
yes, that's true. But in general, yes, the idea is sound. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Yeah, you can do that. You can buy tickets today and use them in 2015, and they'll still be good. Next email is from Jeff Arsenault of Coventry, Rhode Island. Writes, this one is probably for Mr. Newell. I recently purchased an iPhone and followed the instructions via the YouTube video and got Mouse World Radio working with the F-Stream app. So far, so good. Works great. Is there any way to see the track info like you do on Live 365?
I'm not sure how F-Stream works. Probably not without the Live 365 app or the Mouse World Radio app that's out there. That's a different stream that will display track information. I'm not sure how F-Stream works or where it gets its data from, so I don't know the answer to that.
Good.
But how cool that I can listen to Mouse World Radio on my Droid now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. I'm very excited about the Droid. There's an app called
Cherry.
Cherry R Player, I think it's called, and it's at the App Store. You can download that, and if you have a Droid and you want to shout me out, I'll give you the URL to type into it.
Very good. Next email is from Melanie Marchetti of Stoke-on-Trent, United Kingdom.
Melanie.
Writes, Dear Annette and lads, just a quick note to say thank you so much for your podcast. It is both witty and informative, and I look forward to it. I just wanted to ask if it was all possible for you to say hello to my husband, Andy Marchetti, who is an avid fan of yours. It is through him that I started to listen. He does a daily commute to Liverpool and loves listening to you all. He does, however, seem to have forgotten that way back in 2005, it was me who bought the book and him who mocked me for reading it night after night. Being a clever bloke, after the first few days of our 2006 trip, he was converted, and we used the unofficial guide to plan our 2008 trip. We'll be returning in 2010 and are currently picking up loads of great advice from your excellent podcasts. So, hello, Andy.
Hello, Andy.
Hello, Andy.
Hello, Governor.
I was going to do it. No, I knew it. I was
Hope
gonna
you're enjoying the ride.
Of course, no trip to England is complete without saying hello to someone named Trevor. Hello, Trevor.
Trevor, take care.
The English countryside is complete without a visit from a man named Trevor. Hello, Trevor.
By the way, the European show was hilarious. I was baking when I listened and nearly dropped my spoon at the excellent English accents.
Yeah.
And Newell, she put
The
English in
excellent.
quotes.
She put what in quotes?
English.
She put English in quotes.
You see, the English are the only ones that got that. They actually liked it. Everybody else was offended. The English thought it was great.
Yeah, whatever.
Next email is from Carlin McGee, who from Lake Charles, Louisiana. Writes, I've heard about Disney having a program for college students to come and work at for Disney for the summer or something like that. I was wondering if you had any information on this and could provide any stories of cast members talking about it.
Oh, if only we knew.
I heard about
If only
this
we-
cast member who was in the program. I'm about to be a senior in high school, and I'm looking forward to going into the program once I can.
It's a hoot.
Yeah, my wife did. I know many, many people have done it. It's offered to college students. All you have to be is enrolled in college, which is kind of funny because there's always like one 35-year-old who's in college and actually does do the college program.
You mean I can go sign up for college and go on down?
Yeah, if you're enrolled in college, graduate or undergraduate, the school participates in it. You can do it. Some schools get college credit. Most schools get college credit. Some schools, for whatever reason, doesn't work, so it's kind of like a semester abroad without credit. But it really is a very fun program, and it seems that everyone really, really enjoys it. That I've ever spoke to that's done it. I mean, it's kind of like summer camp at Disney World, and you work there, and you make a little bit of money, and you get to have fun. It's really truly a unique experience. I would definitely recommend it. Next email is from Linda Walker of London, England.
Linda.
Writes, love the show and counting down the days to my visit to the world in March 2010. My husband and I are staying off property, but I would love to visit some of the resorts whilst we are in the area and wondering what the access is like for non-residents. Are we welcome to visit the resorts even if we don't have dining reservations? Sure. I would love to look around the resorts, maybe stopping for a drink or a bite to eat.
That's exactly what I would say. I would say, visiting from England, I'm looking around. I'd like to take a look around at this particular resort, especially if you want to stay there, like on your next trip. Mm-hmm. And I want to grab a bite to eat and a drink while I'm there. It works really well. Like any of the Epcot resorts, it'll probably work well. I don't know if I'd try it at the Contemporary, only because people tend to use that for a parking spot. But you could definitely do it at the Poly.
Yeah, all resorts allow you to do it. I mean, the issue is just parking, like you mentioned, Len. And some resorts, depending on like the time of year and other situations, are more stringent about parking there. They may direct you to park either at a faraway lot. Like the boardwalk is very notoriously stringent about going over there. But what you can actually do is just park in the lot across the street. It's the same side as the Hess station, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and walk. Yeah.
And you just have to walk
over.
further. But
The Grand Floridian is like that too. They make you parking
Yeah.
at self-park across the
But you're
street.
more than welcome to. I mean, what do you're there to potentially spend money. What
They
say no?
won't turn down
Yeah.
your money. That's for sure.
Yeah. No. So yeah, I think it's actually a good idea. You get to see the resorts, you get to relax. I can't tell you how many times I've fallen asleep in the lobby at the Grand Floridian, too, because you can go
It's
there
great.
and even if when I'm not staying there. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It puts you right to sleep.
Especially if
Just
the
exists.
piano is going.
I could nap anywhere, but I mean, especially in the lobby. I mean, it's nice and comfy, especially after you've been in Disney World a couple of days and you're kind of tired, and maybe right after lunch you walk in, the air conditioning's there.
So there's a
Piano's
meet for
playing.
December.
Sleep in the lobby.
The sleep
Find
meet.
Lynn. Figure out which lobby he's sleeping in.
Yeah.
And the world is the
Tell us again, Len, how you lost an eyebrow. Go ahead.
Linda also wants to know. Also, we would love to check out the electrical water pageant as we've never seen it. Can we park at the Polynesian, for example, just to view this?
Yeah, again, you should probably do something.
Yeah, I would actually recommend to see it to make it easier on yourself in terms of the issue with you're not allowed to be here and parking. Go to Fort Wilderness. No one cares if you park there,
Yeah.
and you can easily go check it out from over there because they'll perform right in front over there, and it's actually going to probably be less crowded than the beach at the Polynesian anyway. Next email is from Robin from Louisville, Kentucky. Writes, we're coming to Walt Disney World soon. We're staying at Pop Century, and I thought it was cheaper to fly down on Saturday rather than Sunday. I keep checking prices, but when should we actually buy the tickets for our trip? That's a good question. You're buying airfare, Scopa, and you're looking at it, and you say, when do you pull the trigger on buying it? Because you inevitably you don't want to buy a ticket today and tomorrow or next week it drops $100, right? So how do you know, Mike, that it's the right time to buy a ticket?
Well, first place, I tend to book my room before I think about airfare. I want to make sure that my room is available. And once that's available, then I start looking for airfare. And sometimes, depending upon the airline, you may not have a choice. If you have, if you're living somewhere where there aren't that many flights going to Orlando, you really don't have an opportunity to see what's going to be the best deal. But I'd say as soon as you book your room, you start looking for airfares, and I would say I wouldn't wait any closer than maybe 90 days, maybe 45 days. I don't know. It depends,
And some airlines, if you do find a lower fare, some airlines will give you not a rebate, but a credit on the difference.
Southwest will do it.
Yeah,
Right,
JetBlue does
right.
it too. So I always, even though I book my air, I always double check. A couple weeks out, a month out. I always go on like Kayak and just run it. Just again, the same exact flights. If I can get a better deal, I call JetBlue up and say, "Hey." And
Well, doesn't JetBlue charge you a rebooking fee though?
No, they
don't?
They never did for me.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good because Southwest never charges a rebooking fee. Neither does I think all airlines will honor the new price, but the rebooking fees generally make it
exactly.
$5. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, absolutely, definitely check that. It's a good sound
Always-
strategy.
always
if
ask.
JetBlue or Southwest serve your city.
Always ask if there's a booking, rebooking fee.
Rebooking. Yep. Next email is from E, who writes, "Please don't read my name as I'll be telecommuting to work in telecommuting in quotes from the parks. That is, I'll check my email over a beer each evening, and nobody needs to know that I'm not slaving in my home office as usual." Writes, "I'm planning a 7-day trip to Walt Disney World for some time in the next year, and I thought I'd share a good tip with everyone. If you're like me and want to avoid crowds at all costs, you'll find this pretty useful. To find the best possible week to go, copy and paste a 12-month crowd calendar from TourPlans.com into Excel. You'll need a member subscription to get it, but it's well worth the $9. Then calculate a rolling average of the crowd levels for
I love this
7
idea.
days,
This is awesome.
or however long your trip want to be. Copy and paste the values into another set of columns and sort by calculated averages. From this, you'll be able to see which 7-day periods have the lowest estimated crowds. Very useful for planning a trip. Does that make sense to you, Lon?
That's awesome. Yeah, I can't believe anyone's done that. It's a great idea, though.
My calculations show that the week ending Saturday, October 3rd is the lightest in the next year with an average crowd of just 4.4 per day.
Sounds
As we
about
want to
right.
see the Christmas lights this year, I think we're going to opt for the 7 days ending Sunday, December 13th instead. That week has an average of 5, but still is far better than most.
Yeah, an average is like 6.5 or maybe a little bit above that in the crowd calendar. So 4s and 5s are below average.
Nice job, Eve. Perhaps you worked that hard at work.
That's I'd rather like her to do that. That's better. Nice.
Next email is from Mike from Colorado.
Hey,
I have
Mike.
a quick question. I have a quick question about availability of the Polynesian Resort concierge rooms. We're heading to Walt Disney World next spring for a 2-week vacation with some friends. We're planning on buying annual passes for that trip. Since we don't want them to go to waste, I was considering taking another short trip down to the world for my birthday on November 11th, 2010, to make sure that we get our money's worth. I went to the WDW website today to look for prices for the Poly around that time, but unfortunately it looks like they were booked up for this year. I have a few questions I was hoping you could help me with. Number 1, how are the crowds like around November 11th, Veterans Day, normally at the parks?
Not bad actually. So the thing you run into where there is Mickey's Merry Christmas Party has started by then. So there are a couple of days where the park will close early, the Magic Kingdom will close early, and then on that Saturday they'll keep the Magic Kingdom open later. So you'll see fluctuations in crowds based on that. Other than that, though, it's pretty good. Certainly better than the week before where you've got Jersey Week.
How early should I think about reserving my room for that weekend? It looks like late June isn't early enough for concierge.
Kind of along with the same thing as the airfare, you can always reserve your room and then look for the discounts to come out later and have it applied to that reservation. So it's better to go in and get your room taken care of. You don't want to plan a trip and not have a place to stay.
Cool. Mike also wants to know approximately how much does a concierge room go per night before any sort of discount?
And
I think it also varies on the resort, right, Annette?
It definitely varies on the resort.
I knew what the Poly one was a few years ago. I was up there
Without a discount?
checking it. Oh, without a discount, yeah.
$5 something a night.
Yeah. Well, what happened, Len, was they showed me the rooms facing the Magic Kingdom, and they were like $550 a night or $650 a night.
Yeah.
And the rooms across the hall, looking at the monorail or looking at the rest of the resort, they were $100 less per night.
The view
It
is
also depends on what season you're going to. So there's a lot of variables into what
Yeah.
the cost would be.
Well, I think it's time for our last question of the day, where I'll give Mike Newell 3 emails to choose from. One will be answered today. The other 2 go back into the email queue to be answered later. Are you ready, Mike?
Yes, sir.
All right. Your options are: I couldn't give a dining plan.
Ooh.
Len owes me a lunch.
Yeah,
Or
what else
bad
is new?
movie. Or bad movies never die. They go to Norway.
No more Norway.
I made Hannah watch that a couple weeks ago.
We're staying away from Norway. I like the Len with Len buying lunch because
That's awesome.
things always taste better when Len pays.
That's right. Last email today is from Brett, New Hampshire. Cousin Mickey doesn't talk about on the boards.
Hoorah!
It writes, when you responded to my email about my experience at Yak and Yeti, Len and Scopa had a field day when I said, who ordered the duck? Len actually stated in disbelief, who orders the duck? Well, to be truthful, it's all Len's fault. Len is the reason I ordered the duck. The duck is recommended in the unofficial guide. If you don't believe it, check either of the last 2 editions. My faith in the good book has been compromised.
I didn't write the review, so I didn't know that.
Don't let Len try to claim that other people assist with the unofficial guide.
That's awesome.
We all know that Len is responsible for every single word, drawing, app
Exactly.
photo, and reader comment in the good book.
Every single thing. Exactly.
Oh, and just for the record, yes, Scopa, I did get stuck with the bill.
That's awesome. Oh, that's great. That's a great one.
Really-
Yeah, okay.
really cracked me up.
Let me know. I'll grab you lunch.
Very good. Well, don't forget that this episode of WDW Today has been sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And, we spilled the beans that a Reunion 2010 is on the books, and you can plan your trips already. Just go to www.mousefantravel.com. Book your room. You never know. Things change. You may want to bump it up, maybe want to bump it down, but at least you'll have your spot reserved, which will allow you to get into some extra fun stuff. That's right. The dog is even excited that the reunion. She can't wait to book. What's the dog's name again, Len?
I thought that was your cat, Matt.
Sorry, it was Rosie. Sorry.
It's Rosie. Yeah, that's right. Rosie is so excited to book Reunion 2010. So
She
you
is.
should go
She's
there
very excited about it.
before Rosie books all her stuff. Check it out at www.mousefantravel.com. Go to find our older episode, read our show notes, or send us your comments. Visit the WDW Today website at wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Sopa, and Mike Newell, the fabulous Annette Owens, and Rosie, I'm Matt Hotchberg. We'll see you on the show.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.